Pocket Bomberman is a platforming game for the Game Boy and Game Boy Color. It's one of those black cartridges that has enhanced color for the Game Boy Color, but can still work in your original Game Boy. I wouldn't call it a side-scrolling platformer, it's more of an exploratory platformer, but not with super huge levels. The goal is to search the level and destroy all the enemies. Once all the enemies are destroyed, a door opens and you head to the next stage. If you're familiar with Bomberman's power-ups, you'll be familiar with this game. The bombs still explode in a grid fashion, however Bomberman can walk and jump. You can use the bombs as a platform. You can jump in the air and place it mid-jump, allowing you to jump on the bomb and then jump even higher, or you can place it on the ground if you only need one extra block's worth of height. At the end of each stage there is a boss, and for the most part the game's difficulty stays about the same. The last world has a bit of a difficulty spike, but it's nothing you can't handle. If you've been playing through the game, you have sharpened your Bomberman skills. The bosses play like regular story mode Bomberman bosses where they move around the stage in a pattern. However, since Bomberman's movement is now limited to jumping, there is an added level of challenge, I found. You shouldn't have too much of a problem until you get to that final world where there is a notable jump in difficulty. Now, at the main menu of the game, you have two options. You have the story mode, which, like all Bomberman games, you can safely ignore the story. It has absolutely no bearing on the game, but you may be interested in it. But there are two different modes. There's a story mode and a jump mode. Now, the jump mode of the game, I really enjoyed, and I wish there was more of it. There's 3 difficulties, and it took me about 15 minutes to get a hang of controlling jump mode, and then to beat all 3 difficulty modes. Now this is something you would play for points, so your mileage may vary. Once I beat it, I was done. Bomberman automatically jumps, and it's up to you to navigate him, and again, bounce to the top, defeat bosses, and destroy enemies. There are games like this on cell phones now, so this is a bit of a pioneer, I think. I really enjoyed it, and I wish there were a lot more levels. 3 were just not enough. I was really disappointed when it came to an end. I thought I was going to be able to sink some time into it in between calls at my job, but 15 minutes later, I was disappointed. So, while I absolutely love the jump mode, it is short, but it was a nice little addition to the story mode of the game, which offers, a fair amount of game. It kept me entertained for a couple days in between calls at my job. Like a lot of Bomberman games, it uses a 4-number password system, so it's very generous with unlimited continues. Once you do use a continue, Bomberman loses all of his power-ups. But if you die, you still have all the power-ups you had, which is also fairly generous. Perhaps this was because this was a departure from the typical Bomberman style of gameplay, where this was very platform-heavy. But once you use a continue, you start with no power-ups. Pretty standard Bomberman stuff. If you are a fan of Bomberman, I say pick this one up. It is a nice little departure from the standard grid-based movement. It got me through a couple of days of work safely. All around, I would highly recommend this game.